Welcome back to another episode of Maximum Octane. I'm here by myself instead of with Kim Hickey.
Well, you're not really by yourself.
I guess I'm not.
I'm here too.
Don't we count for anything?
I'm telling you.
I'm not sure why I said by myself, but my co-host today from ATI as well, also a colleague, is George Zeeks. And then we've got the lovely Travis Bickham, like Beckham, right?
Yeah, very close.
All right. And then he's here from Shopmonkey.
That's right.
He is our chief commercial officer for Shopmonkey. So how are you doing today?
That's right. I'm doing great.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me in. Looking forward to the chat. We're recording this in beautiful Hawaii.
Oh.
So can't complain too much about this. I don't know how I convinced the guys back home that was the one to get out here.
Yeah.
What do you mean? I told them how great ATI was.
There
He
we
said
go.
I got to go
There we go.
FaceTime.
There we go. And they sent the right person over. So this is
We'll
great.
find out in about 30 minutes. Yeah.
We sure will. We are at Waikoloa Village in the beautiful Hawaii. I don't want to leave.
No.
I'm just going to tell ATI, why don't we just open up an office here?
Oh yeah, I'll do that.
Yeah, you're down?
Absolutely.
I think you have more pull than I do.
I'll do Caribbean. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's do
Even
it.
we're warm. We'll take it.
Yeah.
Awesome. So you're here with us from Shopmonkey.
Yes.
But I know you mentioned this a little bit earlier. You want to talk a little bit about the trust gap.
Yeah, for sure. So I think a topic that would be great to get into today is this idea of the trust gap, which to me is what's the difference in expectations from a customer to a shop, and how can that lead to problems in terms of a shop's business, repeat customers, reputation, all that stuff we've talked a bunch about this week.
Yeah. Well, let's get right into it. George, what are your thoughts?
So if you look at the studies, the only thing that we're ahead of in automotive is dentists.
We're ahead of the dentist?
Yeah. So if we took our dirty,
What about
greasy
Congress? Are
hands
we
and
ahead
we,
of Congress?
yeah,
Oh, we've got to be out of Congress now.
if we put our hands after working on a car in someone's mouth, we'd be at the very bottom. So
That's all it
people,
takes.
I mean, they're nervous. They don't understand it. They know they've got a problem.
Yeah.
They feel victimized. They feel like they could be taken advantage of. You know, building that trust, maintaining that trust, and managing your brand on what that trust looks like is more important now than it's ever been.
Yeah,
Ever.
totally. I mean, I've got a flavor of bias here that I'm going to share. So a couple of years ago, we ran a survey and we're super interested in the world of digital tools, right? How does that help a shop? And what we found out is 92% of consumers want to experience things that feel like their Gmail or their Facebook, right? Digital on their phones. Only 8% of shops are set up to do that.
Wow.
So this kind of got us thinking, right? Like what is the end result of that discrepancy? And that's when we really got into this idea of trust. And so what I boiled it down to, if I had to pick three, would be lack of trust comes from transparency, one, or the perception of lack of transparency. Two, pricing. Everyone forever and always since the wheel was invented has felt like they've been getting ripped off, right? You know, Grok down the road is selling them for 50% of that. And I think that past experiences, right? People walk around with a lot of baggage or perceived baggage from previous repair experiences. And so those three to me are kind of the tip of the iceberg in solving this trust gap. How do we address those concepts?
I love that.
Yeah.
That makes total sense. Because when you think about it, so there was a time when you had a home that you went to, right?
Yeah.
You had the shop that you trusted. You had the butcher that you trusted. You had the barber that you trusted.
Oh, I still have a
Right.
barber that I trust. That's the only one that touches my hair.
Yeah.
It
Well,
shows. It looks fantastic.
I appreciate it. It's not as good as yours, but yeah.
but if you look at it and you go, okay, so let's just say Sports Clips was, I'm saying nothing bad
not a
about
barber
Sports
shop.
Clips. Well, no, but it's the McDonald's
Right.
of the barbershop, right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
you don't really get to know who they are. So the problem comes in when you don't have a place to really go. And now you're looking at, okay, where can I go? I don't have a home.
Yeah.
Maybe they've been going to Jiffy Lube, but
Mhm.
now they have a problem that, or some Quick Lube.
Mhm. Right.
And those are doing very well because
Oh, yeah.
they're making money.
Yeah.
But now I have a problem and I don't have a place to go. And you've got a decade of behavior, maybe 2 decades of behavior,
Yeah.
and you've got to try to break that somehow. They're going to Google it, and you've got to be able to manage the way you look so that you can come forth and get those right customers in.
Yeah, you nailed it. Actually, I had the team pull some stats before we chatted.
Mhm.
This one blew my mind. 76% of people reading a review on Google are going to visit that business in the next hour.
Oh,
So the ability to get it right is kind of
Yeah.
a one-shot opportunity, right? It's, you know, I come from the world of marketing, kind of even before working with automotive. And we've talked a lot about kind of the lack of trust in advertising, right? And no one trusts advertising, right? But what people do trust are experiences, and preferably authentic experiences coming from another person, right? I hear a lot more about what one of you guys says than, what Hilton says, right? And so people seeking that authenticity, finding it on Google, they're making the decision like that, and they're taking their dollars to whatever business rises to the top there.
I do want to touch on something that you mentioned even before, the whole transparency, right?
Yeah.
So there's a saying that I have. I don't know if I came up with it, but I
I'll
like to
give you
think
credit
that
for it. Yeah.
Yeah. So exactly, transparency is the new currency.
Yes.
So, however, how transparent we can be now, whether that is through our reviews that we have that are exactly what you said, right? It's anecdotal.
Yep.
It is more transparent than the business itself kind of tooting its own horn.
Right.
So that's one way for the transparency. You also mentioned pricing goes hand in hand with transparency.
That's right.
And then you mentioned the actual past experiences. Once again, transparency all around. So I know, George, you were about to say something, so I'll let you finish. Then I've got another point I'd like to make.
So here's the problem. When you're dealing with automotive, you have someone who is maybe a great technician. They thought they could do it better, or maybe they worked for somebody they didn't like, or they felt, whatever, they wanted to do it better. They wanted to, do serious work for the community. I mean, it's a serious thing. This is their baby. It's personal. The problem is they don't have that skill set to harvest. And maybe harvest is the bad word, but to harvest those reviews, to harvest those experiences that they genuinely get because their people love them, but because it becomes such a one-on-one thing, they've got to find someone to help them make that leap so that they can collect that experience, those transparent conversations, and get it someplace public. So that other people can benefit, frankly, from it. It's not just about sales. It's, hey, I have a problem. I need to benefit from this conversation, and that's part of the transparency too.
Yeah. I mean, that even presupposes the experience was a good one, right? So if we take that even a step before, I think let's just be practical for a second. There's a few really simple things I think a lot of shops, or really anyone running a physical business, can do. One is, I think, just keep it really simple, right? Everyone coming to visit you is coming to visit you because they can't do this service themselves, right? Otherwise, they'd be in their own garage. So they probably don't understand what the heck you're talking about. So can you explain this in a really simple way and that's clear cut and shows trade-offs, right? That's one. Two, like something a lot of people offer now, I think is great, is the ability to show, not tell, right? Digital vehicle inspections is kind of something I think is really important, right? Imagine I'm a consumer. I may not even be on site while you're diagnosing my vehicle, but then I can look on my phone and I see the actual video or the photo. And I'm like, oh, I see. Yeah, that's totally rusted out. Even I know that, right? Not being a car person.
Transparency.
Transparency. Can you be simple? Can you show, not tell? And then also, can you just make people feel good in that experience, right? Like, I know you're busy, you're running around a shop, but it goes so far, just like, hey, like, do you have any other questions? Like, let's not do anything until you feel good about this. Just that act of, human to human connection puts people at ease.
Well, let's put it this way, right? We're in Hawaii right now.
Yeah.
Do you feel pretty good?
I feel pretty great.
Do you feel pretty good?
Feel awesome.
I feel great, right? But the weather is very similar to Florida.
Yes.
Would you rather be in Florida or Hawaii?
Hawaii.
Why?
Well, they have a thing on Facebook called the Florida Man, which kind of explains the whole thing.
Oh man,
I'm just saying.
That's a conspiracy.
People, I'm saying, hey, listen, if you're in Florida, I'm not saying anything bad about you. I love Florida.
The Florida Man is not necessarily bad.
No, but it's
look at
funny. And the thing is, Florida's a place that people run to. I mean, there's so many connotations that go with that, but Hawaii is pineapples and sunshine and dolphins.
Feel good.
Yeah, Hawaii's done a much better job of branding itself than Florida has.
Branding, right?
And I think that's kind of what we're talking about. Isn't
But
it?
what else does Hawaii have that's different than Florida? And I'll kind of allude to, have you been to the breakfast here?
I have not.
Okay. Have you been to the breakfast here?
No.
Why?
Frankly, I'm not a huge breakfast guy.
Well, that's not
and
the
I'm
answer
not paying $55 for eggs.
That's what I was looking for. $55, right? The breakfast here is $55.
So it's parking, by the way.
Okay, well, exactly, right? But we expect this.
Yeah.
And everybody knows if you're going to Hawaii, you're spending money.
Right.
But people still come here rather than go to Florida.
Yeah.
I mean, people go to Florida too, don't get me wrong. But Hawaii just feels good.
Yes.
You know, they're doing something about the customer experience, the branding. We could take that same analogy and apply it to our shops.
Right.
There are certain shops that you're going to spend money.
Yep.
Especially if you own a European car. I'm big into BMW.
Yep.
I know if I had to, I don't have to take any of my cars to a shop.
Yeah.
If I had to take it to a shop, I know I'm spending some money.
Okay.
But I bought that car for the experience.
Right.
So I'm already kind of understanding that whole experience. I know the transparency was there. Everybody's told me that it's going to be expensive.
Yep.
Now, you bring that up with what you guys are doing with Shopmonkey, right?
Right.
Shopmonkey is, for those that don't know, a shop management software.
That's right.
And it's a lot more than that too.
Right.
But you guys have DBIs.
Yes,
You
we
guys have, that transparency built in from the first step.
Right.
So what does Shopmonkey do to really make sure the users are promoting that transparency?
Well, I think for starters, we don't look at anything as transactional, right? In this space, I worry sometimes there's a bias towards efficiency, or how do you get 2% more? Or how do you push something out the door that much faster? But that misses the larger story about our relationships with cars, right? There are kind of two phases of owning a vehicle, right? There's day one when you purchase or lease that vehicle, and then there's day two till it goes to the junkyard. We think of that as the automotive care experience, right? There's this whole two-sided experience between a shop and a customer that can last for years, right? And so the bias always has to be, how do I protect this relationship above all else? So I think that, one, transparency, like you said, that's easy, right? Show, not tell, be honest, be direct, be willing to say no, right? There's some bad customers out there too, right? It's, that trust has to go both ways. Pricing, right? You want to make sure you're getting fair pricing for your work, but also you want to know that you're getting the best deal for your customer that you can, so they can keep coming back, right? Invest in that long-term relationship. That's something that we help people do too, right? We're processing billions of dollars in payments now, which is kind of crazy to say.
Yeah.
But automotive is big business.
Big.
There's a lot of dollars there. And then lastly, which I think, a lot of people do a good job of, but we focus on as well, is just telling that story, right? Thinking about what you said about BMW, it's the ultimate driving machine, right?
100%.
Like you know that's why you bought it. You believe in it. Hawaii, the spirit of aloha, right? All these brands have done a great job sharing that value and synthesizing it in a quick way. So if I'm a shop, that's what I'm trying to do too, right? Florida's got a lot to recommend it, but I'm like, am I going for low taxes? Am I running from the law? Do I love alligators? Like, it's all these different things. I'm not clear exactly why I'm going. And maybe it's a choose your own adventure thing, but it's so obvious why someone would buy BMW. So as a shop, can you tell that same story, right? Like, I always go to the same guy on the corner in Mill Valley because, one, I trust him, but two, European and Japanese motorsports, right? This guy knows exactly what he does. Yeah. He does it well. He's an artisan, and that's what I want. I know, and it's obvious to me what the value is.
There we go. Now, before we actually got started on here, you did say you had a kind of a background in marketing.
Yeah.
Before we got to automotive space. We're both very big on marketing. We just had a marketing roundtable here today.
Yeah. I don't trust anyone at this table, man.
Now, with that being said, when it comes to marketing, it's not just what you're doing from an advertising perspective.
Right.
On whether it's retention, acquisition, does not matter. Marketing is also branding.
Yes.
Now, with that being said, a lot of stuff that you mentioned is how are shops branding themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Part of that is the customer experience.
Right.
And a lot of that stuff has been elevated tremendously from when we switched from paper ROs and paper courtesy inspections to where we're at now in the industry.
Right.
A lot of this change has happened in the last 5 years, I would say.
That's right.
And maybe a little bit more, but for the most part, the last 5 years. What are some of the recommendations that you have for a shop that, let's say they already have a shop management software, right? Let's say they're already digital.
Right.
What can they do to improve that customer experience? Like, all the stuff that you've already mentioned previously. How can they go about it based off of just whatever they already have available?
Sure. Well, let's just talk about what a brand is first, right?
Okay.
And the phrase I like is, a brand is what people feel about you when you're not in the room. So just for definition, that's what we're going for,
Perfect.
right? We want
Nice.
we want people to feel great and come back. So for me, it always comes down to three things, right? People, processes, and technology. So from a people standpoint, I think a great way to dip your toes in the water here is just set some obvious KPIs. This month, I want to see the staff get 5 positive reviews on Google. Everyone, let's think about this, and I'm going to run a spiff. Whoever gets the most reviews is going to get a nice little cash prize at the end of March, right? That goes so much farther than you would think, right? If you can make it part of everyone's day-to-day
Make it a game.
process, right?
Yeah.
Like take the people, motivate them, give them a process, and then give them the right tools to do it. I think it's something as simple as, hey, did you have a good experience here today? I had a great experience. Cool. Well, can you take this iPad and leave us a review real quick? We'd love to hear about it. It helps us so much, right? If you can get that in the moment, then that person is so much more likely to leave you a review. And
I love how you brought that up.
yeah,
Giving them like directly. Because even to take a step further is like the tap tags.
right.
You can just tap your phone here, you go straight to the review link, or a QR code or anything like
Right.
that. Make it easy,
Yeah.
right? So that's definitely a great point there.
Yeah, 100%. And I think the other thing with reviews, right? Everyone hears that. They're like, yeah, I want a bunch of 5-star reviews. Prior to working at Shopmonkey, I worked at a company called Bird Eye. You guys may know Bird Eye, or you may know Podium, right? You probably have more automotive customers combined than all the shop marketing solutions here, right? You know, we're talking about hundreds of thousands of physical businesses. And one thing that we always saw is the businesses that are the most trusted are not the ones with the best reviews. They're the ones above a certain floor that have the most authentic reviews and are the most responsive to their reviews. So even if someone leaves you an unfair 3-star review, just getting in there and having your staff, right? Like, hey, so sorry to hear about your experience, right? Like, bring it back in. Let's get this fixed. That's going to generate more leads than something that feels fake and it's only 1,000 5-star reviews.
Exactly.
The thing that I love about what you're talking about is you're not focusing on the quantity of the reviews. You're talking about the behaviors.
Yes.
Okay. How do we act, right, as a brand ambassador for our business? Because that's what every single person who talks to the customer is, right? And how do we capture how they feel? And that behavior conversation that you have back and forth, that's the thing that generates the transparent, the real feel.
Right.
When you read it, you know this is a real thing. Versus, I mean, realistically, you could hire 50 people to write a review and give them AI generated things.
Sure.
But you're gonna the average Joe's gonna read this and go, something's off. They may not know exactly what it is, but it doesn't feel real. I love what you're saying about this, about the behaviors. That's perfect. Absolutely.
Yeah, it all starts from there. And also, frankly, if you don't fix the behaviors, people come in, you trick them into coming in, they have a bad experience. What does that do for you, right? You know, one thing I think a lot about is the cost of acquiring a customer, right? You know, you spend money on mailers, maybe you pay for a software, or you pay for a billboard, whatever you're doing, that's a lot of cash, right? I think 10% is a number I hear a lot in terms of shop expenditures go towards acquiring customers. You know, it's free. Getting someone who gets referred to you or trusts you and comes back in, right? And so just the efficiency of your business from starting from trust and process and getting people back through the door goes through the roof. What if you put that 10% back into your shop and something else? Or what if you open another location, right? These are the things that are possible when you prioritize the people coming through the door.
Let's talk about one other thing, because I think you're really hitting on something big here. So if you think about it, I come in, I have a problem, I get taken care of, but what you're turning, when you hand over the keys and you finish this, you're changing this end from a transaction, right, to a relationship. And the thing that people don't realize, if I say that I love Oreo cookies and I say that out loud in front of a group, right? Well, deep down inside, I said I love Oreo cookies. If I have a choice between a chocolate chip and an Oreo cookie, I'm probably going to get, because I've made it public and I've said it inside my own brain out loud. So if you want them to come back a second time, third time, fourth time, part of that is getting that behavior, because now they're committing emotionally to you too.
Yes. Yeah. As humans, we don't like any friction between what we've said and what we do, because that makes us feel disingenuous. And so, getting someone to say it, extremely powerful. I mean, I think one thing, are you guys football fans?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, sure. I'm a big football fan, right? I went to Cal. We don't do very well usually, but we've had some great players. One of them was Deshaun Jackson. You guys may know, but it's great for the Eagles.
Yeah.
Hopefully he's not listening to this podcast. But one thing he did twice is he took a kickoff, 99 yards back, and then tried to do a flip into the end zone, fumble on the 1 yard line. And you're kind of like, how did this guy do it twice? That's a little bit how I feel when someone spends the time to bring in a customer, gives an amazing service experience, collects that payment in a digital way, and then doesn't ask for a review at the end. I'm like, you just backflipped on the 1 yard line and let the ball roll out of bounds, right? You've already done all the hard stuff. Give yourself credit for it. Don't run off to the next thing.
And this just building that trust with our customer, building that relationship, and showing that transparency to any potential customer.
Right.
I think the fact that you told the story that you did, the story becomes like a parable. It's a lesson, okay? And that absolutely exemplifies what the review process, getting that review, having that conversation.
Yes.
You're getting that person to tell a story about you.
Right.
And it makes it so much clearer. I mean, when you say that, we know exactly what that means.
Right.
We know exactly how he felt when he fumbled on the 1 yard line.
Right.
It just encompasses it all. I think it's a beautiful way to put it.
It is. It is. Now, I did want to touch on a couple other things that you mentioned as well, right? With the whole building the brand, kind of the whole customer experience, what shops can do that are not with Shopmonkey, but they have kind of some kind of digital shop management software.
I'm not aware of those shops for what it's worth.
Now, with that being said, though, this is a very important thing: is technology.
Right.
Technology is moving at a pace that we have not seen in a while. And I'll kind of bring this back to from when OBD2 was first introduced, so in the 90s, up until I would even say like 2010.
Yeah.
I mean, cars advanced, but they were not advancing like to the rate that they have in the last decade. Right. The last decade has been exponential. If we break that down to even a little bit further, just AI in general, right? AI has been around forever, whatever, however we want to talk about it. But AI has exponentially grown in public perception in the last 2 years. And there's so much technology out there. If Kim was here, she would also be telling us about how we've been talking about this on the podcast for all week now. Yeah. Where you have to move with technology as well. We have to be able to adapt it, make life easier for us because our customers are already adapting a lot of it.
That's right.
So what are some things that shops should be doing to kind of help with this technological revolution again, in a sense?
Yep.
And continue to build that brand, like you said.
Totally. Well, I think one big thing is just consistency around the experience you offer. So like practical tip here, if you're not using canned services, start using canned services. Because one, you will educate all of your techs, whether it's day one or they've been with you for 10 years, exactly what a quality service looks like for a specific vehicle and a specific customer ask in your shop. So everyone's getting the same experience, right? You want that level of consistency. I think too, leveraging AI when appropriate for things that don't require human intervention. So reviews, an interesting idea there. You can actually use AI to surface what reviews are negative, what reviews require a response, right? Let's say you get a 5-star review. Do you want to take someone off a vehicle to thank a customer for that? Or are you comfortable just saying, really appreciate your business, can't wait for you to come back in? That's something AI can do for you, right? So I do think in verticals, like in automotive, AI is impacting the world less than in, say, consumers, right? But there are still opportunities for shops to leverage that and keep people focused on what actually moves the needle for them. So consistency, use things like canned services, leverage AI where appropriate, have a quality technician training program around this, right? Another opportunity for digital help. Like, whoever you work with for shop management or internally, do you have like an education center or certification program you can take people through? That goes such a long way. It's just in terms of delivering that consistency of experience.
Now, how does Shopmonkey do this different?
In terms of the AI?
Any part of this that we've talked about.
Yeah.
How does Shopmonkey do it differently?
I mean, step one is any service that you're recommending in Shopmonkey, whether you are one shop or, thousands of shops, right? We work with enterprise customers through SMBs. They're all originating that from a central management. For us, we call that HQ, right? So if you're one of our 1,000+ shop customers, every single shop is recommending the exact same viscosity and fluid and running a change the same way, the exact same inspection, right? You don't really have that if you're doing it pen and paper. So that's something we help people do, is just push that out to the shop level. Two is incredibly robust program around education. We call ours Shopmonkey Academy. You can call it whatever you want, right? But we get certificates on the wall. That just helps people ramp up. So day one, you bring someone onto the job, they're being productive, right? And then lastly, is we handle that entire experience of getting a customer through the door, giving a delightful service experience, collecting payment holistically, natively in one platform. So you're not going to 5 different vendors. And if something breaks, you have no idea who to call.
I think that's a fabulous point right there, because technology, with how great technology is, it breaks.
Right.
And when it breaks, chances are you have to call somebody else to fix it.
Yes.
Right. So the less things that we have in there to break, the better it's going to be.
Yeah, that would be our point of view. I mean, we've tried to build our company around this idea of smart, right? Like it, should just work. It should work the way it intends to. Simple. Anyone can start using it. It feels like a tool we use in our day-to-day lives, and native being the most important one. So you're not going to see Shopmonkey out plugging in with 15 other people. That's not the approach we've done. Instead, what we're going to do is give you one option for what you're trying to do. Let's say process payments, but we're going to make sure it's the best in the industry. So some people love a bunch of choice and maybe we're not the right partner for them. Other people just want it to work, want it to be pleasant, and want it to be the most robust. And we're going to be the right partner for them.
That's very well said. Go ahead.
I think one of the things that you said that is incredibly important. So when you look at technology, it's not going to stop.
Right.
And we saw, when we went from carburetors to OBD1 to OBD2.
What's a carburetor?
Yeah. Those are the things that sit on top.
Yeah.
So, but the thing is, we saw master techs that didn't want to go.
Right.
They didn't want to learn this new technology. And well, I think we're at a point right now where more than ever, it's a balance between having someone help you through this maze of what do I use and what do I pick and how do I use that? Because that's not my jam, right? That's not what so I need that help.
Yes.
But the other key thing that you said was training. We're here to, to help elevate you. And way too often you're dealing with a vendor in automotive, in anything, and you buy this product, and maybe it's a point of sale system or a website or what you can say, whatever it is. And they plug it in, they go, hey, thank you.
Right.
But this is a totally different relationship.
Yeah, that's right. Well, I mean, technology vendors suffer from the same problem that we've talked about with shops, right? Where the bias is always, how do I go on and win my next customer, right? It's like the phone company, right? You're like, why don't you get a better deal for being a new customer than being a current one? I want the loyalty discount, right? And so I would just encourage people to always look at what's the partnership model of anyone you work with, right? Talk to customer references, and are these people really going to be there? Do they nickel and dime you if you want to call in and talk to someone, or are they going to pick up the phone and help you solve your problem because they care about you being a customer for decades?
There we go. I mean, this is all about the trust gap, right? This is kind of relaying back to that first point. The trust gap is, we are actually closing in on it. I really do believe, as an automotive industry, I mean, I know dental is still underneath us, but
We got to protect the lead.
I think we're a little bit ahead of other industries too now, just because I think people are starting to see the technology in cars.
Yeah.
They're realizing that this is not just something that anybody can just fix.
Totally.
Right. So we're kind of, that trust is being built for us externally by the manufacturers by overcomplicating things. But it brings up the point that you mentioned with, you have to be constantly training,
right?
Whether it's the technology you're using or the technology that you're going to have to use to fix cars moving forward.
Right.
And then staying on that transparency with the DVIs and, making sure we're informing our customers. The can service is a really good topic because you can can a lot of items on your shop management software, whether it's Diag, having specific diagnostic inspections, tests, the notes that are going out, how informative, how much we're informing our customers. So a lot of this stuff really plays into closing that trust gap more and more. Is there anything in specific that you think, if you had to prioritize, kind of to close in more on this trust gap for a shop? What would be at the top of your list?
Well, I think the first thing I would do is focus on communication. Right. Practical tip here is share the good with the bad. This is something I see work really well. Hey, we did our inspection. These are the 3 things we're recommending, but good news, these other 12 things look fantastic. You don't have to worry about this, right? Here's a photo. Great job taking care of this. We usually don't see them look this good. As a consumer, I'm like, okay, cool. Like I'm not being ripped off right now. This is good. I'm much more likely to trust in those 3 recommendations you made. So clear communication up front. 2 is, I'm going to say, persistent communication, right? If I'm going to be a long-time customer, I shouldn't just hear from you when I have a problem, right? This is, again, like kind of a marketing consideration, but on call it a 90-day basis. Are you able to remind me if you've deferred these services? This is probably actually getting more acute for you right now. We've got some space on Saturday. Do you want to come in? And as a shop, you're like, yeah, I want that business, but I also don't want your car to break down, right? And so that, that helps solve trust, right? You're in it with me for the long haul. And then I think the third thing on communication is just telling your own story. Some things I've seen that are pretty cool is shops getting involved in community events. I mean, we're working with some great nonprofits here, but even on like the hyper local level, sponsor the little league team, right? And like, go out and throw out the first pitch at the ball field, put a human face on it where someone doesn't have to wait till something goes wrong to get to know you. Because that's a stressful situation, right? People are suspicious there. To introduce your team to the world. Like social media is how a lot of people consume content now.
Yep.
So wouldn't it be great if I, could follow my local shop and I saw, hey, this guy's gonna be working in my car and here's what he's into outside of automotive, right? Maybe he loves to go to the gym and he's training for a marathon or something, right? It's just, build that human connection to people. And then again, don't be afraid to share success stories, right?
Awesome. That building the human connection, that's...
I love the baseball, thing, sponsor the community. And I would even take it one step further. If you get with your vendors, they'll give you the hot dogs, they'll give you the buds, they'll give you the sodas, and go make hot dogs and give sodas to both teams.
Right.
Take your grill to the field and cook it right there next to them. They're wearing the shirt, you're cooking for both teams, you become a person.
Yes.
And that's really what you guys are talking about as a company. Hey, let's help you become a person.
Yes.
And not just a shop.
Yes. So, I mean, to flip this whole, like, we're only beating the dentist concept on its head, on the flip side, 94% of American families own a vehicle, right? That probably is going even higher, not lower. This is how people's kids get to school. It's how we get to work, right? It's probably the single biggest thing that can go wrong for most people on a day-to-day basis outside of a health scare, right? And so this is a really, really important job that we do, right? And there's 400,000 shops in North America. So it's also a backbone of our economy. So there's no reason we should be perceived as out to get anyone, right? I think as an industry, we have an opportunity to tell a much more uplifting story.
Yeah. Rebrand, reposition ourselves.
I think the thing that's underlying this whole thing, right? That's really not being said. You keep talking about the relationship with the shop and the customer.
Right.
Okay. I don't know. I know that you know it, but you just reek of it that we're here to be that with you as the shop owner.
Right.
We don't want, you're not just a one and done. We're here to help. We're going to grow with you. Everything that we tell you to be about with your customers,
we're about it.
We want that relationship with you.
Right.
And if that's not your thing, then maybe we're not the thing. But I think most shop owners desperately need that kind of relationship with somebody that they feel comfortable saying, hey, I've got a problem, instead of going, oh man, I got a problem.
Right. That's right.
When I say reek of it in a good way, it comes really across in everything you're saying. It's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, you can't be a master of everything, right? No. There's a lot of danger in trying to be a jack of all trades. And so I think, what ATI is doing, what a good vendor partner can do, what a good procurement partner, anyone can do, right, is just help raise the tide of the shop as well, right? Like, yes, we want to win for consumers, but we also need shops to win too, right? And this can be an extremely lucrative business, be a very rewarding business, also be a super challenging one, right? So don't go out in the boat alone,
No, that's great. And I go to SEMA and Apex almost every year. And I'll tell you what, the Shopmonkey booths, they're usually, they're popping. Yeah. And even at trade shows, I mean, you guys make that effort to, like you said, convert that into a human and relationship where we're not just trying to, it's not just money oriented. It's not transactional. I think that's how you phrased it. Now, this is something that we can use technology to bridge that barrier for us as shop owners in the automotive industry. Right. So let's really embrace that. But let's, obviously all the efficiency, all the stuff that you normally hear about, how you apply technology. We can also use it to help make us more human, build those relationships. Let's really make a change here. And I think this is just more than just one podcast, right? This is just, it's a movement in our industry, and we have to really, everybody, like you said, the tide has to raise everybody. Right. So let's really execute and push out there.
100%. I think maybe one thing to sort of wrap with is just, I talked about 400,000 shops in North America, right? The automotive aftermarket. We talk to, call it, a couple thousand a month that are trying to solve this problem. Let's say our competitors are doing the same. That means the majority of the industry is not thinking about this yet. And I'm scared for those people to get left behind a little bit, right? And I know, ATI is coaching people to future proof, lead with
Yes.
value, all of that stuff. I just think more people need to hear this message. And you mentioned AI, right? The tides are changing and they are changing faster, and you cannot wait to address this kind of thing.
Yeah. Get after it. Don't wait.
If you're going down the Amazon, you need a guide.
That's right.
Okay, this is the guide through the jungle, to help you get to the tribe that you want to help. It's a dangerous thing what we're going through, because some people are just going to go, you know what? Just like that master tech with the carburetor. You know what? I don't want to do that, and they're going to lose everything.
Yes.
Yep.
They need someone to guide them through this. Absolutely.
Don't be Blockbuster.
Right. Who's that?
Yeah.
Well, any final thoughts? All right, I think we've covered quite a bit. Unless you have something.
I just think we should record episode 2 somewhere else that is as good as Hawaii.
Yeah.
I don't know where that
What's
would
next?
be, but yeah.
On the other side of the island.
Yeah.
How about that? There we go.
awesome.
Well,
Yeah, no, this was great. Thanks for having me in.
Travis, it's been a pleasure. I think I really love this podcast because
Absolutely.
it is a movement, and everybody needs to really start pushing. Do your part. I mean, this is something that's going to change the industry. Let's change it for the better. That's it for us today. Thank you guys for watching or listening, however you're taking all this. Travis Bickham from Shopmonkey. Make sure you check out Shopmonkey if you haven't already. And if you haven't already, I don't know what you guys are looking at, because they're everywhere. Right? So that is it from beautiful Hawaii. I'm sure we'll see you guys again on the next episode.